Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Today, we're bringing you a special episode where we look at the top 10 most valuable small denomination coins from both Australia and the United States. From tiny 5, 10, and 20-cent Australian pieces to iconic U.S. Roosevelt dimes, Jefferson nickels, Washington quarters, and classic wheat pennies. These coins prove that even small change can hold big value in today's collector market. Let's get started. First up, the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin might appear to be nothing more than a tarnished piece of pocket change at first glance, especially in rusty and dirty condition, but in truth, it is a living artifact of Australian currency history. Each scratch, blemish, and discoloration tells a silent story of its journey over nearly half a century, through countless hands, pockets, and cash registers. Coins like this may look humble, but they carry the DNA of a time when Australia's economy, design traditions, and minting standards were shaping the modern coinage we know today. Introduced in 1966 as part of Australia's decimal currency system, the 20-cent coin quickly became a workhorse of the nation's everyday transactions. By 1976, a decade after its debut, the coin's design had already become iconic. Even in a rusty and dirty state, the reverse side's platypus, gliding gracefully through stylized water, is often still visible. This stunning image, created by master engraver Stuart Devlin, perfectly captures Australia's deep connection to its unique wildlife. The platypus, with its duck-like bill and webbed feet, is one of the most unusual animals in the world, making it the perfect ambassador for Australian coinage. On the obverse side, the 1976 coin bears the Arnold Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was in use from 1966 until 1984. This effigy portrays the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, her gaze serene yet commanding. Around the edges, the words Elizabeth II Australia 1976 are inscribed, along with a finely beaded border that gives the coin its classic frame. Even on heavily worn coins, these inscriptions often remain legible, serving as a clear timestamp from a very different era. The 1976 Australian 20-cent coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a bright silvery tone when new, though decades of use, oxidation, and environmental exposure often lead to rust-like staining and surface grime. It weighs 11.31 grams, measures 28.52 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. These specifications make it both sturdy and instantly recognizable to the touch. In 1976, over 35 million 20-cent coins were minted at the Royal Australian Mint. This relatively high mintage means that in ordinary circulated condition, the coin is not rare. However, certain qualities can make individual examples highly valuable. These include minting errors, exceptional preservation, and historical significance to collectors assembling year sets. A rusty, dirty example typically holds only face value unless it exhibits one of these rare characteristics, but that doesn't mean it's worthless in a collector's market. Error coins from 1976 are the real treasures. Misstrikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, and planchet flaws can transform an ordinary 20-cent piece into a sought-after rarity worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Dramatic errors, such as a coin struck on the wrong planchet, have been known to sell for $1,000 to $5,000 at auction. This is where the millionaire dream begins for even the most unsuspecting pocket change finds. For serious collectors, the 1976 coin holds another layer of appeal. It is part of the early decimal series, which many consider to be the foundation of modern Australian numismatics. These coins, now nearly 50 years old, are gradually disappearing from circulation. Rusty, dirty coins may not shine on their own, but they serve as placeholders for more valuable finds and as historical markers for a collection in progress. The global market for Australian coins also plays a role in boosting demand. International collectors are drawn to the platypus design and the unique history of Australia's decimal changeover. Even coins in lower-grade conditions are sometimes purchased in bulk by overseas buyers seeking authentic Australian currency to complete themed sets. While the average market value of a heavily circulated, dirty 1976 20-cent coin is close to its face value, around 20 cents to $1 Australian dollar, high-grade, uncirculated examples can fetch $5 to $15, and rare mint errors can skyrocket the price into four-figure territory. The lesson is simple. Condition and rarity are everything in numismatics. If you hold a rusty or dirty example, it's important not to overclean it. Harsh cleaning can strip away the coin's natural patina and lower its numismatic value. Instead, collectors often preserve coins in the state they are found, storing them safely to prevent further deterioration. This maintains authenticity and appeal for buyers who appreciate untouched examples. Over time, coins like the 1976 20-cent will become increasingly scarce in circulation. As more are lost, melted, or hoarded, the surviving population will dwindle, especially in collectible grades. This slow but inevitable reduction is why even common-date coins from the 1970s are gradually creeping upward in market value. The appeal of the 1976 20-cent coin is not only in its potential for monetary gain, but in its role as a tangible link to the past. Holding one is like holding a miniature piece of Australia's story, a time capsule from an era when decimal currency was still young, and the platypus had just begun its journey as a beloved symbol on Australian change. For some lucky finders, a 1976 20-cent coin with a dramatic error or in pristine condition could indeed be worth hundreds or thousands, helping them take a step toward becoming a coin millionaire. For others, it may simply be the spark that ignites a lifelong collecting passion. Either way, it's a reminder that every coin, no matter how worn or humble, carries potential, both in history and in value. Next up, the Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark from that year has hidden secrets that can turn ordinary change into a potential gold mine for the sharp-eyed collector. Today, we're going deep into the fascinating world of this coin, its history, its design, its minting details, its rarity, and the surprising market value it can command in the right condition. Historical background. The 1986 Washington quarter sits firmly in the middle of the copper-nickel-clad era of U.S. coinage. Since 1965, quarters had been made without silver due to rising silver prices, shifting instead to a durable combination of copper and nickel. By the mid-1980s, the quarter had become an everyday workhorse in the American economy, circulating heavily in vending machines, payphones, and cash transactions. But within these millions of coins minted in Denver that year, a few rare varieties and pristine examples stand out as collectors' treasures. The Washington Quarter Design Legacy. The coin's design honors George Washington, the first president of the United States, based on the classic bust created by sculptor John Flanagan in 1932. On the obverse front, Washington faces left, the word Liberty boldly arched above him, and the national motto, "In God We Trust," tucked to the left of his profile. The date, 1986, rests proudly beneath. It's a design that's both timeless and deeply American, and has been beloved for generations. The reverse design. The reverse, back, of the coin features the stately American bald eagle, wings spread in full majesty, clutching a bundle of arrows symbolizing military preparedness, with olive branches beneath representing peace. This design, also by Flanagan, is framed by the inscription United States of America above, E pluribus unum, just below the eagle's head, and the denomination quarter dollar along the bottom edge. In a world before the 50-state quarters series, this was the iconic face of America's 25-cent coin. Mint mark and its significance. The D mint mark on the 1986 Washington quarter signifies it was struck at the Denver Mint. For collectors, the mint mark is essential because it tells you where the coin was made, and sometimes which varieties or errors might be associated with that mint's production run. The D appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon, small but crucial for identification. Specifications and composition. This coin measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter and weighs 5.67 grams. Its composition is 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, layered over a pure copper core. The edge is reeded, a series of tiny grooves that historically prevented coin shaving or clipping. These precise specifications make spotting counterfeits easier and ensure every quarter fits perfectly into vending machines and coin slots. Mintage numbers. In 1986, the Denver Mint produced 504,298,660 Washington quarters, over 500 million coins. With such a huge number, you might think none could possibly be rare. But here's the catch. After decades of circulation, most of those coins have worn down, picked up scratches, or been lost entirely. Only a tiny fraction remain in excellent, mint state condition, and those are where the real collector value lies. Condition and grading. Coin grading is the lifeblood of determining value. For the 1986 D quarter, A coin in circulated condition might be worth just face value. But a coin graded MS-67 or higher by a professional grading service can command hundreds of dollars. In rare cases, a flawless MS-68 with strong luster and no visible marks can skyrocket in auction prices because collectors fiercely compete for the best of the best. Rare varieties and errors. The real jackpot for 1986 D-quarters comes from error coins, misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. A dramatic minting error can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible, sometimes fetching thousands. Some 1986 D-quarters show strong doubling in the lettering or numbers, while others have off-metal strikes that are incredibly rare. Market value today. So, what's the market saying right now? A typical uncirculated 1986 D-quarter in MS-65 can sell for $10 to $20. Move up to MS-67, and you could be looking at $200 to $400. A pristine MS-68 example has been known to sell for over $2,000 at major auctions. Add a rare error variety into the mix, and the price can leap into the five-figure territory. Yes, that's the kind of money that makes coin collectors' hearts race. Collector demand. Why are collectors so keen on coins like this? It's not just the age. 1986 is old enough to have seen most coins worn away, but the challenge of finding a perfectly preserved example. The thrill of hunting an error, the satisfaction of owning a top-graded piece, and the pride of completing a Washington quarter set all drive strong demand in today's numismatic market. Investment potential. While no coin investment is guaranteed, historically, high-grade Washington quarters have shown steady appreciation. With proper storage in a protective holder and certification from a respected grading service, a 1986 D in top condition could become more valuable over the next decade, especially as collectors from the 1980s generation grow nostalgic and enter their peak collecting years. How to spot a winner. If you're checking your coins for a valuable 1986 D quarter, look for sharp, crisp details in Washington's hair, a strong strike on the eagle's feathers, and clean, lustrous surfaces free from nicks or scratches. Use a magnifying glass to inspect for doubling, die cracks, or other anomalies. These small imperfections can lead to big payouts. The 1986 D Washington quarter may not seem like much at first glance, but in the world of coin collecting, it's proof that treasures hide in plain sight. Whether it's a flawless mint-state beauty or a spectacular error coin, this humble 25-cent piece can capture history, artistry, and value all in one. So next time you check your change, remember, your millionaire-making moment might just be sitting quietly in your pocket. Next up, picture a coin you pass every day. A plain 25-cent piece dated 1995 with a tiny P for Philadelphia. Now imagine that ordinary coin, untouched since the 90s, graded and certified as excellent, or better, selling for tens to thousands of dollars. Sounds like clickbait? In the numismatic world, that humble 1995 P. Washington quarter hides surprises, high-grade survivors, scarce mint-state examples, and rare errors that can make collectors open their wallets wide. By 1995, the Washington quarter had been the nation's 25-cent staple for decades. The classic Flanagan portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle reverse were so familiar they blended into everyday life. Yet the sheer volume struck that year means most examples were spent, handled, and worn. That makes untouched, lustrous 1995 P pieces comparatively uncommon and collectible. Design, obverse details. The obverse features John Flanagan portrait of George Washington, facing left, Liberty, arched above, and In God We Trust, to the left of the bust with the date 1995 below. The mint mark P for Philadelphia appears on the obverse near the ribbon of Washington's hair, small but essential for identification. Reverse details. On the reverse, the spread-wing American bald eagle clutches arrows and an olive branch, framed by United States of America and the denomination quarter dollar. The composition and detail of the eagle's feathers are one place graders look to judge strike quality. Sharper feathers equal stronger coin. Technical specs. The 1995 P. Washington quarter is a cupronickel-clad coin, 24.3 millimeters diameter, 5.67 g weight, and composition 91.67% copper / 8.33% nickel, clad over a copper core with a reeded edge. These exact specs matter for authentication and help separate common circulation survivors from true mint state examples. How many were made? Mintage. Philadelphia struck 1,004,336,000 Washington quarters in 1995, just over 1 billion pieces. That monstrous mintage makes the date abundant in low grades, but abundance in number doesn't guarantee abundance in high grade. Only a small fraction remain in pristine, unhandled condition. Why excellent matters. Excellent condition for everyday collectors usually means bright, full luster and minimal contact marks. In grading terms, we're talking about high uncirculated grades, MS65+, or attractive AU, about uncirculated coins. Because so many 1995 P quarters circulated, a truly excellent, eye-appealing example stands out and becomes desirable to type collectors and set completers. Grading scarcity and market tiers. According to major grading services and price guides, the 1995 P is common through the low uncirculated grades but becomes scarce above MS65. PCGS and NGC note the coin is plentiful in MS60, MS64, scarce in MS67, and extremely rare in MS68. Only a handful recorded. That jump in scarcity is why prices climb steeply as grade improves. Typical price ranges, what you can realistically expect. For everyday sellers, a common, attractive uncirculated 1995 P in the MS63, MS65 band will usually trade for roughly $2 to $30, depending on eye appeal and seller. Move into the MS66, MS67 realm and prices often rise into the $50 to $400 range. Exceptional MS68 examples have historically pushed into the low thousands when they appear at auction. Remember, certified grade plus eye appeal equals price premium. Errors and varieties, where the real jackpots are. The fastest route from 25 cents to serious cash is errors, double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks. Known 1995 quarters with clear doubling or off-center strikes have sold for tens to hundreds of dollars. Dramatic, verified errors can fetch much more. But be careful. Many errors listed online are minor or misidentified and command only modest prices. Collector demand and why buyers chase these. Collectors want three things. A. Strong strike and original luster. B. A clean surface with few marks. And C. Provenance or certification. Type collectors finishing sets, private collectors chasing high-grade common dates, and error collectors all bid on 1995 P pieces. That diversified demand keeps the market healthy, especially for the best examples. Investment versus hobby perspective. Is a 1995 P quarter a guaranteed investment? No. Coins are collectibles, not savings accounts. But historically, nicely graded common dates, when scarce and high grade, have appreciated because supply of MS67 plus examples is fixed and dwindles as owners keep them. If you buy certified, store properly, and pick well-graded, attractive pieces, you stand a good chance of seeing appreciation over many years. How to examine your coin, practical tips. First, don't clean it. Use a loupe and inspect hair detail on Washington, the eagle's feathers, and rims for strike quality. Look for mint luster, cartwheel reflectivity, and minimal contact marks in the fields. If you suspect an error, photograph both sides. Note exact measurements / weight, and consider submitting to NGC / PCGS for authentication. An ungraded error or an uncertified, high grade, will sell for far less. So, could a 1995 P Washington quarter make you a millionaire? Practically speaking, only an unbelievably rare, previously unknown error or an impossible grade coin would get you there. But could your 1995 P be worth $50, $500, or more if it's the right grade or a legit error? Absolutely. Check your change, treat found candidates with care, and when you think you've found something special, get it certified. Want a punchy video title and thumbnail line to match this script? I'll give you 3 viral options next. Next up, the 1998 Australian 10-cent coin might seem like an everyday piece of small change, but it carries with it a rich story, an intricate design, and, in some cases, the potential to surprise collectors with significant value. Even in circulated condition, this coin reflects a snapshot of Australian minting in the late 1990s, a period where precision craftsmanship and enduring designs defined the nation's coinage. Australia first introduced the 10-cent coin in 1966 with a decimal currency changeover, and the design has remained remarkably consistent ever since. The 1998 issue continued this proud tradition, featuring the stunning reverse artwork by Stuart Devlin, the renowned goldsmith and jeweler who served as the Royal Australian Mint's chief coin designer for decades. The coin's reverse depicts an intricate male superb lyrebird, its long tail feathers flowing in a graceful arc. This bird, famous for its elaborate tail and exceptional mimicry skills, serves as a perfect symbol of Australia's unique wildlife heritage. On the obverse, the coin bears the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Raphael Maklauf, which was in use from 1985 until 1998. This version of the Queen shows her wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown adorned with intricate floral designs representing the nations of the United Kingdom. The inscription Elizabeth II Australia 1998 encircles the portrait, framed by a beaded border, a detail that adds elegance and balance to the coin's overall look. The specifications of the 1998 Australian 10-cent coin remain faithful to the original decimal standard. It is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silvery sheen when freshly minted, although in circulated condition it often shows signs of wear, dulling, and light scratches. The coin weighs 5.65 grams, measures 23.60 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge, making it easily identifiable by touch alone. The mintage for the 1998 10-cent coin was in the tens of millions, produced primarily for everyday circulation. This high production volume means that in ordinary, worn condition, the coin is not considered rare. However, scarcity emerges in the form of error coins, proof strikes, and high-grade uncirculated examples. These factors can dramatically change a coin's value from mere cents to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1998 issue is that it marks the final year for the Maklauf portrait on the 10-cent coin. Starting in 1999, the Royal Australian Mint introduced the Ian Rank Broadley portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This transition makes the 1998 coins a historical boundary in Australian numismatics, a detail that appeals strongly to collectors building typesets or last year of design collections. In circulated condition, the 1998 10-cent coin typically retains only its face value. However, the exceptions can be lucrative. Misstrikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, and coins struck on the wrong planchet are the most desirable errors. In some cases, these flawed coins have been known to fetch between $200 and $2,000 Australian dollars, depending on rarity and demand. Such finds are not common, but they prove that even pocket change can conceal treasures. Another factor that affects desirability is condition. Even in circulated condition, a 1998 coin that shows minimal wear, sharp details in the lyrebird feathers, and a clean portrait of the Queen can be more attractive to a collector. Coins graded at the higher end of the circulated spectrum, especially those with natural toning, can command prices of $5 to $15 Australian dollars, modest, but still well above face value. Globally, Australian decimal coins enjoy a steady collector following, particularly in the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States. International interest in the lyrebird design adds an extra layer of demand, as many overseas collectors are drawn to the coin's distinctly Australian character and high-quality minting. This means that even circulated coins may find buyers outside Australia, especially in bulk sales or thematic wildlife collections. From a historical perspective, the 1998 Australian 10-cent coin is part of a stable era in Australian currency, when inflation had yet to dramatically diminish the coin's everyday purchasing power. Today, it serves as both a nostalgic relic for Australians who remember using it daily and as an accessible entry point for beginner coin collectors. For those hunting the millionaire coin dream, the 1998 10-cent issue offers slim but real opportunities, mostly in the realm of dramatic minting errors and high-grade examples found in change. A coin with a rare double strike or struck on the wrong blank could be worth more than most people ever imagine. Stories of such coins selling for thousands fuel the fascination of coin hunters across the country. Even if your 1998 10-cent coin in circulated condition never reaches sky-high prices, its value as part of Australia's numismatic history is undeniable. Every coin minted carries the skill of its engraver, the heritage of its nation, and the silent stories of the countless hands through which it has passed. That makes it worth far more than its face value in cultural terms. The next time you come across a 1998 Australian 10-cent coin, don't dismiss it as mere change. Study its details, look for anomalies, and appreciate its craftsmanship. In the world of coin collecting, knowledge and a sharp eye are the keys that turn small finds into big rewards. And who knows, your humble 10-cent piece could be the one that tips you toward the dream of becoming a coin millionaire. The 1975 Australian 10-cent coin is more than just a small piece of metal. It's a time capsule from the mid-1970s, carrying with it the charm of a different economic era, the artistry of Australia's finest coin designers, and a collector potential that might surprise you. Even in very fine condition, this coin retains a remarkable visual appeal, with clear details and minimal wear, making it a piece worth a closer look for both casual finders and seasoned numismatists. The design of the 10-cent coin was first introduced in 1966 when Australia moved from the pound system to the decimal currency system. The reverse of the coin, which remains largely unchanged to this day, features the spectacular male superb lyrebird, a native Australian bird famed for its long, ornate tail feathers and its extraordinary ability to mimic sounds. This design was created by the legendary Stuart Devlin, who was celebrated internationally for bringing Australian coinage to life with intricate wildlife depictions. The 1975 strike captures the fine feather detailing beautifully, especially when preserved in very fine condition. On the obverse, the coin bears the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait, used from 1966 to 1984, shows the Queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a gift from her grandmother, Queen Mary. The regal yet approachable depiction of the Queen is surrounded by the legend Elizabeth II, Australia 1975, struck in crisp lettering along the rim. In terms of specifications, the 1975 Australian 10-cent coin follows the standard decimal design, a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a durable, corrosion-resistant finish and a silvery hue. It has a diameter of 23.60 millimeters, a weight of 5.65 grams, and a reeded edge, features that make it easily identifiable even by touch. Its resilience is one reason so many of these coins remain in circulation decades after minting, though high-grade examples are now much harder to find. The mintage of the 1975 10-cent coin was substantial, running into the tens of millions. This ensured that the coin was widely available for everyday transactions across the country. However, over the decades, many coins have been lost, damaged, or heavily worn. Finding a 1975 example in very fine condition means you have a piece that has survived the rigors of circulation with only moderate wear, a condition that already places it above the majority of surviving examples. Collectors often value 1970s Australian decimal coins because they represent the early decades of the new currency system. The 1975 issue holds a special nostalgic place for Australians who grew up in that era, recalling the days when 10 cents could buy a newspaper or a bag of sweets. This nostalgia factor, combined with condition rarity, can push values upward when a well-preserved coin hits the market. While in very fine condition, the coin's base market value is modest, often between $1 and $3 Australian. Certain examples with unusual minting errors can be worth much more. Errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, or coins struck on the wrong planchet can command prices from $50 to over $1,000 Australian, depending on the severity and appeal of the error. These rare mistakes are the ones that can make a humble 10-cent coin part of a collector's high-value prize. Another factor driving interest in the 1975 issue is its age. Coins over 50 years old naturally become more sought after, particularly when preserved in better-than-average condition. The appeal increases further when a coin's details, like the fine feathering on the lyrebird's tail or the sharp lines of the queen's tiara, remain clear and unmarred. These are the features that serious collectors look for when upgrading their collections. Globally, Australian 10-cent coins from the pre-1980 period attract strong interest from overseas buyers, particularly in Europe, North America, and parts of Asia. Many foreign collectors admire the unique Australian fauna designs, and the lyrebird is especially prized for its exotic elegance. This international demand adds a competitive edge to the market, sometimes resulting in higher prices than domestic collectors expect. For coin hunters, the dream of finding a millionaire coin lies in spotting those exceptional examples that combine rarity, pristine condition, and an unusual error. While it's unlikely that an ordinary 1975 10-cent coin will fetch six figures, certain extremely rare minting anomalies have indeed sold for staggering amounts in numismatic circles. This possibility fuels the ongoing fascination with combing through pocket change and inherited coin jars. Very fine condition coins like yours are in a sweet spot. They are accessible to new collectors who can afford to buy them, yet desirable enough to interest more experienced buyers looking for upgrades. This broad appeal means that the 1975 10-cent coin in higher grades often sells faster and at a premium compared to heavily worn examples. From a historical point of view, owning a 1975 10-cent coin is like holding a little piece of Australia's post-war growth period in your hands. It's a reminder of a decade marked by social change, new cultural influences, and the maturing of the young decimal currency system. Every scratch and mark on a circulated coin tells part of its journey through the daily lives of Australians. So, the next time you come across a 1975 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition, don't just see it as spare change. Look closely at its details, admire its artistry, and remember that coins like this are the stepping stones to building valuable collections. With the right combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand, this small silver-toned coin could become a star in your collection, and, in a lucky twist, maybe even a step toward that elusive coin collector's millionaire dream. Next up, the 1988 D. Jefferson nickel, a small piece of American history with a story much bigger than its face value. Whether it's a rare mint error, an uncirculated beauty, or a collector-grade example, this coin can surprise even seasoned treasure hunters. Historical context. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed during the Great Depression, it was intended to highlight both American heritage and a sense of stability. By 1988, the coin had been in circulation for 50 years, yet its core design, President Thomas Jefferson on the front, his Virginia home Monticello on the back, had remained unchanged since day one. Millions of these coins crossed counters every day, but most never survived in exceptional condition. The obverse design. The obverse front of the 1988 D nickel showcases a left-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, modeled after a marble portrait by Jean-Antoine Houdon. The inscriptions "In God We Trust" appear along the left rim, Liberty, and the date 1988 on the right, and the small D mint mark, denoting the Denver Mint, tucked just to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. Its bold yet understated elegance is a tribute to one of America's founding fathers. The reverse design. The reverse, back, is where this coin gets its nickname, the Monticello nickel. Here, Jefferson's stately home is rendered in clean, architectural lines. Above it, the Latin phrase "e pluribus unum," out of many, one, is proudly inscribed. Beneath Monticello, you'll see the word Monticello, the denomination 5 cents, and United States of America. The artistry is all about symmetry and heritage, a style that makes even worn coins recognizable at a glance. Specifications. The 1988 D. Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5.0 grams, and measures 21.21 millimeters in diameter with a plain, smooth edge. These specifications have been consistent for decades, making it easy to authenticate genuine pieces and spot counterfeits or altered coins. Mintage numbers. The Denver Mint struck an incredible 562,052,052 nickels in 1988, more than $500 million. With such high numbers, you might assume none are valuable. But the truth is, Most have been heavily circulated and are now riddled with scratches, discoloration, or loss of detail. Only a tiny percentage remain in sharp, collectible condition, and even fewer feature rare mint errors. Condition and very fine grade. Very fine condition in coin grading means the coin shows moderate wear, but most major details remain clear. On a VF 1988 D nickel, Jefferson's hair and face lines are visible, though slightly worn, and Monticello's pillars and steps are still distinct. While this isn't a high mint state grade, a VF example is still collectible if it has good eye appeal or a special error. Why high grades matter? For modern-era nickels, condition is king. An ordinary 1988 D in very fine condition might only fetch modest value, but a coin in MS66 or MS67 can leap into the hundreds or even thousands at auction. The jump in price is due to scarcity in top grades, since most coins left the mint to endure years of pocket and cash register wear. Rare varieties and errors. This is where the 1988 D nickel can get interesting. Known valuable errors include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and struck-through errors, where foreign material interferes during striking. An especially dramatic error, like a broad strike with full details or a major die clash, can turn a 5-cent piece into a collectible worth hundreds. Current market values. A standard 1988 D Jefferson nickel in circulated VF condition often trades for 10 cents to 25 cents, small change. But in MS65, MS66, prices can reach $50 to $200. In top-tier MS67 condition, a coin has been known to sell for over $1,000 at auction. Throw in a rare, visually appealing mint error, and the price tag could jump into the four-figure range. Collector demand. Jefferson nickel collectors, especially those working on full-step Monticello sets, are always hunting for high-quality coins from every year. Full-step coins show complete detail on Monticello steps and are much rarer, since the strike quality on nickels often leaves the steps weak or partially flat. A 1988 D with full steps in high grade is a trophy for serious collectors. While a common circulated 1988 D isn't going to make you rich, high-grade or rare error examples have shown steady value growth over the years. Modern coin collecting trends show that even non-silver coins from the late 20th century can become more valuable as pristine survivors get harder to find. How to spot a winner. If you're hunting for valuable 1988 D nickels, look for sharp detail on Jefferson's cheekbone and hair, fully visible steps on Monticello, strong luster, and minimal scratches. For errors, check the lettering for doubling, the coin's rim for misalignment, and the strike for unusual gaps or shapes. The 1988 D Monticello Jefferson nickel might be a tiny piece of metal, but in the right condition, with the right quirks, it's a ticket to serious collector interest and potentially a big payday. So next time you get change, don't just glance and drop it in a jar. Look closely, because that little D under Jefferson's hair could be your next treasure. Next up, the 1938 wheat penny brings to the table. With no mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, and carrying the timeless wheat ears reverse, this coin is a direct link to pre-World War II America, and it just might be worth far more than you'd expect. Historical context. The 1938 wheat penny was minted during a fascinating era, the late Great Depression, just before America's entry into World War II. In 1938, Franklin D. Roosevelt was president, gasoline cost about 10 cents a gallon, and 1 cent still had significant purchasing power. Yet while pennies were common pocket change, few were saved in high grades, leaving well-preserved examples surprisingly scarce today. The wheat penny legacy. The wheat penny, officially called the Lincoln cent, debuted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait, replacing the Indian head cent designed by Victor David Brenner. The coin's obverse has remained essentially unchanged for over a century, cementing it as one of America's most beloved coin designs. The obverse design. On the front, you'll find Abraham Lincoln's profile facing right, with the word Liberty to the left, the date, 1938, to the right, and, for Philadelphia coins, no mint mark beneath the date. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." In extra fine condition, Lincoln's hairlines, cheek, and jaw retain most of their sharpness, and the high points show only light wear. The reverse design. Flip the coin over and you're greeted by the famous two wheat stalks curving along the edges, the source of the wheat penny nickname. Between them are the denomination 1 cent in large letters and United States of America below. Above is the motto E pluribus unum, out of many one. In XF grade, the wheat grains and lines are still visible, though the highest tips may be slightly softened from light circulation. Specifications. The 1938 wheat penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighs 3.11 grams, and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter. It has a plain, smooth edge. This pre-1982 copper composition means the coin even has a small intrinsic metal value, though its collectible worth far exceeds its melt value. Mintage numbers. Philadelphia struck 156,682,000 wheat pennies in 1938, a healthy number for the time. But most went straight into everyday commerce, and decades of handling, abrasion, and loss have drastically reduced the number of surviving coins in higher grades like XF, AU, about uncirculated, or MS, mint state. What extra fine means. In the grading scale, extra fine, XF40, XF45, coins have light wear on the high points, with nearly all design elements sharp and clear. On a 1938 wheat penny, that means Lincoln's hair detail above his ear and the wheat lines on the reverse are still crisp, but with slight smoothing. Color-wise, a natural brown or red-brown patina is common. An original red luster in the fields can boost collector interest. Why condition drives value? The majority of 1938 cents you'll find are in good to fine condition, worth a few cents to a few dollars. But once you move into extra fine or better, demand and price rise sharply. That's because collectors prefer coins that showcase design detail, making XF and higher examples much scarcer and more desirable. Rare varieties and errors. Though the 1938 Philadelphia cent doesn't have a famous double die like the 1955 wheat penny, there are still minor varieties and errors worth noting, including die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and repunched mint mark varieties for the Denver and San Francisco issues, though the Philly coin has no mint mark. Well struck, dramatic errors can multiply a coin's value many times over. Current market value. In today's market, a 1938 Philadelphia wheat penny in XF condition typically sells for $2 to $5, depending on eye appeal. Step up to AU and the price can hit $8 to $12. In uncirculated MS65 red condition, this date has sold for $40 to $75, and coins with blazing original red luster and top-tier grades can command much higher. Certified superb examples, though rare, can reach into the hundreds. Collector demand. The wheat penny is one of the most collected U.S. coin series, and the 1930s dates are particularly popular because they balance affordability with historical appeal. A complete date and mint mark set from 1909 to 1958 is a common goal among hobbyists, and the 1938 P is an essential part of that journey. Investment outlook. While a single 1938 P in XF won't make you a millionaire, the long-term value trend for high-grade wheat pennies is positive. Collectors consistently seek original, problem-free examples, and as supplies dwindle, prices slowly rise. If you find one with strong color, great strike, and no cleaning or damage, it's a solid candidate for future appreciation. The 1938 wheat penny without a mint mark is more than just a copper disc. It's a tangible piece of America's pre-war history, minted at a time when every cent counted. Whether you're a casual finder or a dedicated numismatist, spotting an XF example in your collection should make you pause and smile. That little piece of history might not buy you a house, but it's worth far more than the penny it claims to be. Next up, the 1980 Australian 5-cent coin might look like an ordinary piece of change at first glance, but don't be fooled. This tiny piece of metal hides a fascinating story, from its design and history to its potential collector value. Even in red-toned circulated condition, a coin from this era holds both historical significance and the possibility of becoming a surprising treasure in the right circumstances. The reverse of the coin features one of Australia's most recognizable wildlife icons, the echidna, designed by the brilliant Stuart Devlin, the same artist who created much of Australia's decimal coinage artwork. This spiny anteater, with its finely detailed quills and tiny snout, is shown curled up in a defensive pose, making it both scientifically accurate and artistically striking. Devlin's design work gives the 5-cent coin an appeal far beyond its face value, capturing a piece of Australian nature in metal. On the obverse, the coin bears the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Arnold Machin. This version, used from 1966 to 1984, shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara and facing right. The portrait is surrounded by the words Elizabeth II Australia in 1980, clearly indicating the year of minting. Even in circulated coins, the portrait retains a dignified presence, though high-grade examples showcase more crispness in the facial features and tiara detail. From a technical perspective, the 1980 Australian 5-cent coin is made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it durability and a distinctive silver-gray tone when fresh. Over time, exposure to moisture, skin oils, and environmental conditions can cause color changes. In this case, the reddish hue of your coin is likely due to oxidation or chemical interaction with copper in the alloy. The coin weighs 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge. The mintage for the 1985-cent coin was substantial, running into the tens of millions. It was a common workhorse coin in circulation for decades, used daily in small transactions. This high mintage means that ordinary worn examples aren't rare, but finding coins in exceptional condition or with striking mint errors can be a whole different story. The year 1980 also sits at an interesting point in Australia's decimal coin history. The decimal currency system was only 14 years old at that time, still fresh enough to feel modern, yet already producing coins that today are considered vintage. For collectors, the 1980 issues capture the feel of the late 20th century, a time before FPOS machines became widespread, when pocket change was a vital part of daily life. While a circulated coin in average condition generally trades for between 20 cents and $1, unusual examples can command much more. This is especially true for coins with minting errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies, or the rare double strike. Some error coins from this period have fetched $50 to $500, and in extreme cases, certain dramatic errors can break into the four-figure range. The reddish color of your coin might seem like damage to some, but to certain collectors, toning can add character, especially when it occurs in even, visually interesting patterns. However, bright, lustrous coins are usually preferred in the high-end market, meaning uncirculated 1980 examples are the true stars for investment-grade collecting. For numismatists, the condition grading system is key to determining value. A circulated 1985-cent coin may range from fine to very fine, depending on where, but coins in extremely fine or uncirculated grades are exponentially rarer and can sell instantly when they appear. Collectors often pay premiums for coins that still show all echidna quills in sharp detail or every jewel in the Queen's tiara clearly defined. The demand for small denomination coins is stronger than many realize. Some people think low-value coins aren't worth collecting, but in reality, building complete date runs of coins like the 5-cent series is one of the most popular entry points for new collectors. As these date sets approach completion, collectors often seek out specific years in top condition, which drives up the market for premium examples of common dates like 1980. International buyers also keep this coin in demand. Australian wildlife designs are famous worldwide, and the echidna is unique to the region. Collectors from the US, UK, and Asia often purchase Australian coins as part of thematic wildlife collections, which means the market isn't just limited to domestic buyers, and global interest can sometimes push prices unexpectedly high. The Millionaire coin dream, in this case, would come from finding a 1985-cent coin with a rare and dramatic mint error in pristine uncirculated condition, the kind of combination that sparks bidding wars among serious collectors. While these finds are incredibly rare, they have happened, and that possibility is what keeps coin hunters combing through their change. Even in its reddish circulated condition, your 1985-cent coin is a tangible link to Australia's coinage history, a piece of everyday life from more than 4 decades ago. Whether you keep it for sentimental reasons, as part of a growing collection, or in the hope that it hides an unseen rarity, it's worth holding on to. In the vast world of numismatics, even the smallest coin can tell the biggest story, and sometimes, just sometimes, that story can end with a life-changing value. Next up, the 1991 P. Roosevelt dime may seem common, but certain high-grade or error examples can command serious money in the numismatic market. Today, we're uncovering why this small silver-colored coin might be hiding big value. Historical context. By 1991, the Roosevelt dime had already been in production for 45 years, first minted in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The design remained largely unchanged, reflecting both respect for Roosevelt's legacy and the practicality of a familiar coin for the public. At the time, most Americans used dimes daily, making uncirculated survivors much harder to find decades later. The obverse design. On the front, you'll find a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, sculpted by John R. Sinek. Above his head, the word Liberty arcs proudly. The motto "I in God We Trust" sits to the left, while the date 1991 is just below Roosevelt's neck. The P mint mark, denoting the Philadelphia Mint, appears to the right of the date, a small detail with big importance for collectors. The reverse design. The reverse features a simple yet symbolic arrangement. A torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Encircling this are the inscriptions "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and "One Dime." The design's balance and symbolism have made it one of the most recognizable coin reverses in U.S. history. Specifications. The 1991 P. Roosevelt dime is a copper-nickel-clad coin with a composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel over a pure copper core. It weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. These specs have remained consistent for clad dimes since 1965, when silver was removed from regular issue coins. Mintage numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck an impressive 870,510,000 Roosevelt dimes in 1991, nearly 871 million coins. While this suggests the date is common, most of these coins have spent decades in circulation, accumulating scratches, wear, and loss of luster. Only a small fraction survive in truly excellent or gem mint state condition. What excellent condition means? For most collectors, excellent condition refers to coins with strong luster, crisp detail, and minimal marks, generally AU, about uncirculated, or MS, mint state, grades. On a 1991 P dime, that means Roosevelt's hair and facial details are sharp, the torch and branches on the reverse are fully struck, and the surfaces are bright without heavy blemishes. The role of grading in value. The difference between a common 1991 P dime and a valuable one often comes down to grading. In MS-65 condition, these coins can bring modest premiums. In MS-67 or higher, prices can skyrocket due to scarcity. Coins graded MS-68 full torch, where the torch lines are fully visible, are among the rarest and most desirable for this date. Rare varieties and errors. While the 1991 P dime isn't known for famous double dies like some older coins, error varieties do exist. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and struck-through errors, where debris or grease interfered with the design during minting, can all raise a coin's value. Dramatic, eye-catching errors can sell for hundreds, even on a modern dime. Current market values. A circulated 1991 P dime is worth face value, 10 cents. An excellent condition AU example might fetch 50 cents to $1. In MS-66, MS-67, prices jump to $20 to $150. An MS-68 with full torch designation has sold for $1,000 or more at auction. Combine a high grade with a rare mint error, and the right coin could break into the four-figure range. Collector demand. Roosevelt dimes are collected both as full date and mint mark sets and by specialists who chase full torch examples. Because 1991 P is a relatively modern issue, collectors expect top-grade coins to be flawless. That means competition is fierce for the few surviving gems, especially in PCGS or NGC holders with elite grades. Investment outlook. While you won't retire off a typical 1991 P-dime, the highest graded examples have shown steady price growth as they get harder to find. Modern coin collectors are increasingly targeting pristine-clad coins, and the best 1991 P examples fit that demand perfectly. Error coins from this date also tend to hold value well. How to identify a standout coin? When searching, use good lighting and a magnifier to inspect the coin. Look for full torch lines on the reverse, sharp lettering, clean fields, and rich luster. Avoid coins with dull surfaces, scratches, or signs of cleaning. These factors can destroy collector value, no matter how rare the coin is. The 1991 P. Roosevelt dime may be small, but it's a powerful reminder that treasures aren't always golden or ancient. With the right grade or a striking mint error, this humble 10-cent piece could be a serious payday for the lucky finder. So next time you get change, remember, the smallest coin in your pocket could be the biggest surprise in your collection. Next up, the 1994 P. Roosevelt dime might look like pocket change, but for coin collectors, certain examples from this year can be worth far more than their face value. From pristine mint state pieces to dramatic mint errors, this small coin can pack a big surprise, the kind of surprise that could turn your pocket change into a small fortune. Historical context. By 1994, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for nearly 50 years, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. While the design remained essentially unchanged, the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small P, struck hundreds of millions of dimes in 1994. Most went into heavy circulation, but a rare few survived in top condition. The obverse design. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek. Above Roosevelt's head is the word Liberty, while the motto "I in God we trust" appears to the left. The date 1994 sits just below Roosevelt's neck, and the tiny P mint mark to the right confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. In excellent condition, you'll see sharp hair detail and smooth, gleaming surfaces. The reverse design. On the reverse, the central design features a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Around the rim are the inscriptions United States of America, e pluribus unum, out of many, one, and one dime. The details in the branches and torch flame are key indicators of strike quality. Specifications. The 1994 P dime is a clad coin made from 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel over a pure copper core. It weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge with 118 tiny grooves. This composition has been standard for dimes since 1965, when silver was removed from circulation coinage. Mintage numbers. Philadelphia struck 1,357,579,000 Roosevelt dimes in 1994, more than 1.35 billion pieces. That's a huge number, but most are worn, scratched, or dulled from decades of use. Finding an example in truly excellent condition, free from blemishes and with strong luster, is far rarer than the mintage might suggest. What excellent condition means. In coin collecting, excellent condition often refers to about uncirculated AU or mint state MS grades. These coins retain full design detail, have minimal contact marks, and display bright, original mint luster. On a 1994 P dime, that means every line on the torch and branches is sharp, Roosevelt's profile is crisp, and the coin shines like the day it was struck. The importance of grading. The difference between a common dime and a valuable one is often the grade. An MS-65 1994 P dime might sell for a few dollars, but MS-67 examples, especially with the coveted full torch designation, are scarce and can sell for hundreds. MS-68 or higher. Those are near impossible to find and can command premium prices. Rare varieties and errors. While the 1994 P doesn't have a famous double die variety, errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and struck-through errors are known. Dramatic examples. where the error is obvious at a glance, are the most desirable, with prices ranging from $50 to several $100 depending on severity and condition. Market values today. In circulated condition, a 1994 P dime is worth only face value. An excellent AU coin may fetch $0.50 to $1. In MS-66, prices can climb to $15 to $30. MS-67 examples often sell for $75 to $150, and MS-68 full torch pieces have reached $1,000 or more at auction. Error coins can push well beyond these figures. Collector demand. Collectors seek the 1994 P for date and mint mark sets and 4 full torch registry sets. In these competitive collecting circles, condition is everything. A dime with perfect torch lines, flawless luster, and no marks will attract multiple bidders, especially if graded by a major service like PCGS or NGC. Investment potential. While you won't retire from finding one average 1994 P dime, the highest grade examples and major errors have shown steady demand and price growth over time. As modern coin collectors focus more on perfect clad coins, coins like the 1994 P in elite grades could see even more competition in the future. How to spot a standout coin. When examining a 1994 P dime, check the torch for complete, clear vertical and horizontal lines. For full torch designation, inspect Roosevelt's cheek and jaw for sharpness, and look for an even, original surface with no discoloration. Use magnification to spot fine errors or doubling in the lettering. The 1994 P Roosevelt dime might be one of the smallest coins in your pocket, but it's a reminder that big value can hide in plain sight. In excellent condition, with the right grade or an unusual error, it can leap far beyond 10 cents and possibly make your next coin hunt far more exciting than you ever imagined.